everyone, and welcome to The Bubbling Adventure, a podcast all about kids and how educating them positively can impact their entire life as well as society. Each week, we're having conversations with guests on different themes, and our aim is to have open discussions, share different points of view, and learn in a non-judgmental way. Today, we're welcoming Martin, who will tell us all about meditation, how it can be used to communicate with your kids, and how it can help them understand their feelings. The best way to support this podcast is to subscribe if you haven't already, and write a review if you're listening from Apple Podcasts. But without further ado, let's begin.
Maman, maman, en faisant cette chanson.
Papa, papa, en faisant cette chanson.
Maman, papa, maman, papa.
Hi Martin, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you. Could you please introduce yourself?
Okay, my name is Martin Hassall. I'm the CEO and founder of a company called Meditation in the Workplace. And really the aim of the company is to teach as many people as possible meditation. And I found that one of the best ways of teaching people meditation is in the workplace, because often you get to people who wouldn't normally come across meditation. So I found when I was teaching meditation outside of the workplace is that I got a lot of people coming along, but I was almost preaching to the converted. So I found that people who wanted to learn to meditate would come along to my sessions, which was really good. It was fantastic. But when I teach in the workplace, I get people coming along who are open-minded, and in that way I teach people to meditate who wouldn't normally have exposure to meditation.
Nice. And so why did you start, learning yourself and then actually teaching to other people?
Well, I didn't really intend to learn to meditate. I got made redundant in the financial crisis in what would be 2009. And during that time, it was very, very difficult to get another job, and I was on gardening leave as well. So I wasn't allowed to get another job. And I ended up doing some yoga classes with a friend of my wife's. She was a yoga teacher. And she said to me, I'm a yoga teacher. And I said, yeah, I do yoga. And she said, who is your yoga teacher? And I said, oh, the Nintendo Wii, which was what I was doing yoga on at the time. So she said, oh no, you can't use the Nintendo Wii to do yoga. You must come along to my classes. So that's what I did for about 6 weeks. And then I was fortunate to get another job and go back to the city of London. Mm-hmm. And probably about a couple of weeks into the job, I had a call from my wife to say that Mary Elena, my yoga teacher, had asked that I go along to a meditation class, which I did, and I almost didn't attend it. I only remembered the class when I was on the train on the way home, and I think I got to the station at 7:00 when the course was about to start, and I thought, oh, maybe I won't go. And then I decided that I would, and in the end I arrived about 15 minutes late, still in my suit, hungry, generally not sure whether I wanted to be there or not. But once I'd walked through the door, they were waiting for me. Mm-hmm. So I was herded into a little room in the back of the of this guy's house, and I really didn't get on with the meditation at first. I probably would have left, but we were sitting cross-legged on the floor, and my legs had gone to sleep.
So you couldn't leave?
No, I couldn't leave. My legs were sort of had gone to sleep. So I just kind of sat there and felt hungry and wanting to leave. But I think on the third meditation, I kind of I don't know whether I gave up or whatever, but I must have transcended in some way. And I just felt really, really different. And I remember walking out of the session, and the thing that I observed more than anything else is that I'd stopped being scared. I suddenly realized that probably for most of my life, I'd carried a level of anxiety, a level of fear that at that moment had completely disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't a panacea. It kind of, the anxiety came back again, but there was enough there to make me think that maybe I should do more of this meditation to help me to better control my anxiety, my fears. And since then, it's led to me learning more, doing a lot more meditation, eventually becoming a meditation teacher and setting up now a meditation in the workplace.
Right. So since it really helped you, you decided you wanted to dedicate your time to help other people as well.
Yes. Yeah, I guess there was two things about it is that firstly, there was the personal aspect, and in meditation, I think you have to learn to. They say you have to learn to love yourself before you can help other people. So I think there was an element of if you like, sorting myself out somewhat before I was able to then go on and teach other people. So but the most pleasurable thing, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now, is if you can help someone, if you can teach someone how to meditate, then that's one of the most pleasurable things I think you can do in life. Well, for me anyway.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And so obviously you deal more often with adults, but why do you think it's important to kids to start meditating young?
Well, because the benefits for children are the same as for adults. And I think there's this assumption, there's this idealized view of childhood, that childhood is the best days of your life, this carefree time with nothing to worry about. But actually, nothing is really farther from the truth. Is that our kids are really very anxious, and I think perhaps even more so today than it has been in the past. I mean, the pressure on kids to pass exams, even to get from primary school to secondary school, is absolutely huge. So I think there's an awful lot of anxiety that children are carrying. So again, as with adults, if you can teach them a way so that they can alleviate their anxieties and fears, then that's got to be helpful.
Right. So it's all about being grounded, deal with anxiety, as you just said, and maybe also build a habit from a younger age. Do you think it would be easier for the future if you learn how to meditate quite young?
Yes. I mean, I think it's clearly you don't teach meditation to children in the same way as you do adults. You have to kind of simplify some of the concepts. Young children find it very, very difficult to visualize, so you have to be more literal in the meditation techniques, and sort of you can only really introduce kind of your conceptual visualization to teenagers. But the thing that is really helpful for children as well is to combine meditation with physical activity. It's really good to do meditation after sport, or one of the best things, and it's been taught much more in schools now, is yoga. So doing yoga or sport or any kind of physical activity, and then meditating, teaching them how to relax is really helpful.
Okay, yeah, so it's more about relaxing. And then I'm guessing that maybe with kids you cannot do a very long meditation or relaxation. So I guess it also depends on the kid and the age, but how does it work really? Would it be like a short 5 minutes, or can it be like 20?
I think it depends on the child. In my experience, I've mostly worked with children who, I've taught their parents meditation, so they've asked me then to help them to teach their children. So the attention span of the younger the child, generally the less the attention span is. So you use shorter meditation, simpler techniques, and that kind of helps them to just get the concept, and it's sort of a little and often, sort of like, so I encourage parents to do something, maybe a sort of relaxation, a body scan, something like that, before children go to sleep at night can be really helpful. So they just get into this idea of practice of relaxing their body before they go to sleep every night.
Mm-hmm. And so, do you think it should be a little bit every day so that, it's really a habit that's built? Or do you think, I guess, again, it depends for each kid, but...
Yeah, I think it does depend somewhat with each child. But in essence, yeah, as with all meditation, the more regular the practice, so that if you can, whether you're an adult or a child, if you can do some sort of daily practice, that's helpful. But it's also helpful in terms of the emotion. So children obviously get very angry and have lots of different emotions throughout the day. So as a parent, if you are mindful of your child's emotions and help them to recognize how their emotions are affecting them, sort of how it affects them physically as well as mentally. You can sort of ask them how they feel inside, ask them how they feel inside when they experience anger or fear or uncertainty, sadness, shame, all those sort of things. So without making a sort of kind of big deal of it, of a massive interrogation, but just from time to time, if you are, as a parent, are mindful, then you can sort of say, well, you were really angry earlier on, what was it like? Why did you do that? And sort of, did such and such happening, did that make you sad? How did that make you feel? How did it make you feel physically? And that can also be happiness as well as amusement and things like that. So just connecting people with connecting children with their emotions and feelings is helpful, and also getting them to talk to someone about it, because that's one of the big problems that we all experience, adults and children, is not talking about emotions, and that can create big sort of mental blockages in later life.
I see. So it could be used actually as a way to communicate.
Yes. And often it's finding that quiet time. So trying to build those times in a child's day when they they have that sort of relaxing time, when they're sitting there, and often maybe that's before bed, but it doesn't have to be, just so that they've got time to talk about how their day was, how they felt about things perhaps that happened at school, or in the playground, or after school, and how they feel about things. And often as an adult, you can give them some insight that maybe they hadn't thought of themselves. And again, it encourages them to have those conversations in the future, which is really helpful to them.
Right. And so do you think that the parents need to actually be meditating to be able to teach their child how to meditate and to really guide the session?
Yes and no, because I think it's more important from a parenting, or as important from a parenting perspective. Obviously, ideally, parents who meditate would be perfect, but not everyone wants to or is in the right mindset to meditate. So I think being mindful as a parent that your child may have struggle with various emotions like anger and sadness, but even the joy and the happiness side of things, and how to deal with those things. So just recognize it. You can do it academically of just saying, I'm just going to set out a certain time in my child's day when we're going to have this type of conversation. Obviously, if you are meditating, then it becomes much more natural to you, because you'll be doing that for yourself as well.
Mm-hmm. And so what do you think of, for example, if the parents weren't really sure on how to proceed, should they find a guided meditation on YouTube? Or how can they actually know and find out different types of meditation that they could teach their kids?
I mean, probably buying a book. There are sort of if you look on Amazon and things like that. I think buying a sort of a book from a recognized author is probably a good way of doing it. There are lots of how to meditate with your child type books, and introducing meditation to children, so that you just understand the principles of what it is that you're trying to achieve. I think that probably would be better than maybe just randomly finding something on YouTube, which may or may not be appropriate. I think you have to, with children, you have to be more careful, I think, in terms of, how you introduce something to them and what you introduce to them, so that they're absolutely safe. It is that children are much more vulnerable than adults, so you have to tread carefully.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. And I'm asking this again, I think it depends on each kid, but do you think there is, an age that you can start at? Because I tried last time with a 2-year-old and it didn't work. So how can you try to adapt? Because what I was trying to do is actually just ask him to lay down and do more like a body scan, and I just started with think about your forehead, and it just didn't happen. How to also not get frustrated and maybe find another thing to do that works.
Yeah, so the younger, like I say, is that young children don't get sort of kind of concepts, so, and it also depends on the time of day as well. So that's why I'm saying it's easier for parents than sort of an aunt or uncle or someone who just visits from time to time, because sometimes they're in the mood and sometimes they're not. So it's kind of understanding your child and understanding when they're likely to be in the mood to be able to sort of kind of lie down on a bed or the floor, and just sort of say, well, how do your feet feel? Sort of how do your knees feel? How do your legs feel? Sort of just kind of make them aware of their emotions and things like that. I'd say the easiest thing for 2-year-olds, their major problem is around communication. Is that they really struggle. That's why you have the terrible twos, the tantrums. Is because they can't express themselves very well. So that age group is quite hard, and it gets easier as they get older. But probably I've not actually tried to teach yoga in any way to a 2-year-old, but those kind of exercises and things like that might be good in terms of helping them, and then building up from there, and just taking it in small steps.
Mm-hmm. Actually, what we did afterwards was, copying each other's movements. So, for example, copying what he was doing and moving our arms. So I think this was an activity that kind of like stopped him from running around, because it was almost bedtime. But then we were having a hard time, he didn't want to lay down and think about his forehead, but this activity was more fun, so it kind of worked. So I guess it depends, if you say like, oh, do as I do, maybe, and if you do some like calm gestures, maybe that could be an idea.
Yeah, all those things are helpful, and what you're trying to do is to improve your level of concentration, really. There's a lot about meditation is the ability to be able to concentrate. So one of the things that you can do with older children, and I would say that you could probably start at maybe 4, something like that, but that's to get a sort of a tea tray and put a number of everyday objects on it, so I don't know, marbles, coins, flowers, key ring, matchbox, leaf, ruler, paperclip, all those sort of things, and then cover it up with a tea towel, and just see how many things, when you put the tea towel on top of it, how many things the child can remember, because your meditation or mindfulness is all about kind of living in the now. So, and a lot of that is remembering and being able to recall things. So that's one. It's called Kim's game, and so that's an interesting one that you can make things entertaining for children.
That's a good one. I've also seen, I don't know what to think about it, it's some moving meditation where you sort of move a certain way, and it's not really like sitting and try to clear your mind or think about something specific, but more incorporating movements. I don't know if you've seen that.
I haven't really, other than it sounds a little bit like flow yoga, which I've done a little bit, where you just literally you really don't stop moving. Is that you go from one pose to the next and then hold it. But there are like I think in Turkey there's the whirling dervishes. Have you heard of them? These are the guys who just spin round and round and round, and they have these great costumes, and that's, they get into a very meditative state doing that. So I'm sure that there are techniques that you can do that, but it's not something I personally have come across.
Okay, great. And so, is there any advice that you would like to share?
I think the first piece of advice I would give people is, for children to benefit from meditation, they must want to do it. So you shouldn't be forcing your children to meditate. Sometimes they don't like the word meditation, so you can call it something like focused relaxation or stilling or something like that. And I guess the other piece of advice is that I would encourage parents to get their children maybe to go along to child yoga classes and things like that. There's a lot of training that yoga teachers go through. So, and there's always a little bit of relaxation and after yoga sessions. So I think that would be a really good thing to do if you've got small children, or even older children and teenagers.
Right. And probably also, try to make it fun and more like a game rather than something boring where you're just sitting. Yeah,
because then you get into, it has to be something that they want to do. It has to have a sort of a benefit, and children love playing. So the more entertaining you can make it, the better. So that's going back to the Kim's game. It's literally a game. It's a competition of how many things you can remember underneath the tea cloth. Children like that kind of competition. So trying to make things as enjoyable as possible. They can try. You may buy some crystals, big quartz crystal, something like that, and children love to hold onto a crystal and be quiet and focus on the crystal and things like that. See if they can picture the crystal inside their minds and things like that, just as a way of bringing them to a bit of relaxation. Often it's about, they call it your monkey mind, trying to control the monkey mind that flips from branch to branch. And it's the same in children as it is in adults. So just giving that little bit of peace in each person's day is really, really helpful.
Wow, nice advice. Thank you so much. It was great to learn more about meditation, and especially for kids, as it's something that you really have to think about and prepare, I guess, and also adapt to each kid.
Yeah, I think it requires, particularly from parents and carers and things like that, it just requires a little bit of preparation and thought, and just realizing that childhood isn't this fantastic, tranquil situation for kids. Often they are quite stressed, they are quite anxious. So just asking them how they feel, how they reacted to certain situations is very helpful. And so just the preparation, being mindful, is very helpful, and hopefully that sort of will give kids that strong foundation that they can take into adulthood.
Hopefully. Thank you so much, Martin.
No, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening. Feel free to share if you think it might be helpful to someone you know. If you enjoyed this episode, then please make sure to write a review if you're listening on Apple Podcast and subscribe if you haven't already. That's it from me. See you soon with the next episode, and in the meantime, have a lovely day.